Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 70 of The Clutch Dump. I'm Nicholas Patty, joined by Ben Walter. We are recording this on the 1 year anniversary of our beloved baby, The Clutch.
Yay!
So, on this episode, we return to form with our automotive content. We have a brand new celebratory edition of Two Car Garage. That's right, folks. There's no price limit. And
Woot.
honestly, screw it. Let's start with that. So the Two Car Garage
Yes.
is and you know the social handles. If you're listening, follow us on the Clutch Dump on the
Yeah.
podcast platforms, the Clutch Dump Pod on YouTube, and the Clutch Dump on Instagram. Just go check us out.
Go find us. Go follow us wherever you
So
can.
the Two Car Garage for this week was the brainchild of myself and Ben, and I think
Yes.
it's a pretty damn good one because
It's a good one.
we get to pick one road car, one race car, no budget, but their combined age needs to equal 70 per.
Hints that this
it
is
being our
episode
70th
70,
episode.
1 year
So
anniversary,
then-
blah, blah, blah. Yes.
Let's start with the race cars. What race car did you pick?
Okay, quick question. Where did you find your cars?
One on Bring a Trailer,
Okay.
the other on RM Sotheby's.
Okay, so I did my whole two-car garage on RM Sotheby's, and I actually came up with a backup two-car garage because my original one is incredibly you. So we'll start with you
We might have one of the same then because mine is incredibly me.
because
Okay.
if one of them is you, I'll switch to my backup.
Well, I'll still want to hear both. So my race car, it's a 1973.
Perfect.
Okay. Is a 1973 2.8 liter Carrera RSR that finished on the podium at Watkins Glen in period.
Ooh.
It didn't sell because it didn't meet, it went over the range that Sotheby's predicted, and they predicted 2.5 million. So
Damn.
it was, and it's a beautiful yellow, sparsely liveried, beautiful wide-hipped RSR. Ben, I am going to promptly paste it into our notes.
Wait, sorry, what year is this car? 70,
73.
73. Okay. Da, 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 da. Which Sotheby's auction is this from?
I just linked it in our notes.
Linked in the notes. Da, 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 da. Oh, it's from that auction. I see. Okay, cool.
What is-
that is, for starters, fantastic photography on whoever did this. That
Right.
looks great. Well done. We love a bright car and an old barn. Okay, cool. So I did both of my cars from the what I'm trying to say here, the most recent Monterey RM Sotheby's auction.
Normie.
And my race car is a 1971
Oh?
Lola T 222 Chevrolet Can-Am car.
I think mine's cooler.
Well, I'm very interested in what your road car is because my road car is actually more you than this. So
My road car is more you than anything I've ever picked.
well, it only took us 70 episodes, but we finally figured each other out.
So,
all right, so
my
I
road
just
Oh,
linked
yeah.
the race car, by the way.
Let me go look.
one of six.
Oh, Lord.
So one of six, raced in 1971 in Group 7 series. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's such a good looking car.
So, mine.
It's got a big chrome wheel on it, or
My
chrome
s-
wing on it.
Oh, very hot. My street car
Yes.
only has 329 miles, and it is a 2001 Chevrolet
Oh dear.
Camaro Z28 Intimidator Dale Earnhardt SA.
Oh gosh. I expected nothing less.
And it is a beaut, like new. And it sold for $41,000 on Bring a Trailer.
Oh, I didn't even check. What did the that Lola? I did not realize that my race car was significantly cheaper than my road car.
How much did the Lola sell for?
302,000.
That's actually
Just
all
okay.
things being considered.
All things considered, that's not crazy for a raced in period Can-Am car.
That's most of the Chevy 427 that went into it.
I'd like it noted. That's also in terms of rich people track cars, that's used GT3 RS money.
Word.
I'm just saying, people, you could buy a GT3 RS, which you can show off at Cars and Coffee, or you could buy a Can-Am car. The choice is yours.
You could have cred with college students hitting their jewels and banging anime girls.
And people like Nick.
Or you could have street cred with us.
Yes.
Take your pick.
Take your pick. Okay, but you picked an Intimidator Camaro. Did you go searching for an Intimidator Camaro?
So I literally opened up Bring a Trailer, and it popped up, and I was like, oh.
Okay, so here's my question.
And then I did the math. I was like, I need something that's 50 years old. I was like, 1973 Porsche race car for sale. And
okay,
then
so
when it just showed a bunch of street cars, then I was like, all right, 73 RSR for sale.
So I was curious as to which one you started with first. On both of mine, I went race car first and then road car second.
Oh, interesting.
So just to figure out what they were. But paired with my 1971 Lola Can-Am car, I have a 2005 Porsche Carrera GT.
This is like the bullshit I pulled when you were like, all right, what's your street car? I was like, 2005 Ford GT. And you're like, okay. Like,
no, because it was supposed to be a car of a similar class to your Cayman. That's different.
You didn't say similar class. You said two-seater, mid-engined.
I should have specified more on your car. Yes, that's my bad. Anyway, I picked an 05 Carrera GT because...
You picked what I have in the garage.
Yeah. I picked a Boxster.
Dude, okay,
because
a little sidetrack. BJ Zacharias, the IMSA driver,
yes,
out of our staff meeting, he goes, when are we tracking the Boxster? And I was like, again with this shit? And I was like,
why?
Actually, I'm selling it. And he goes, what? Why? Let's go track it today then. And I was like, not happening.
So this is a 05 Carrera GT in the traditional silver over dark tan, the traditional, but to be fair, looks fantastic. So one of only 644 US cars, as you would know, less than 5,500 miles. So GT silver over terracotta, which I think is
the best interior, but I think it looks better with black.
Yes. But this specific car, which sold for $1.49 million, in case you're wondering how expensive CGTs are now, is signed by some guy named Hurley Haywood.
I'm not going to lie to you, my garage was more expensive.
How was your garage more? Well, okay, how much was that? How much did the RSR sell for?
It didn't sell.
Okay, that'll do it.
Yeah.
It didn't sell. Got it. Okay.
So, guys, if you're watching this video, make sure to comment below whose garage on this anniversary episode of the Clutch Dump you would take. Would you take a period race 73 Porsche RSR and a Dale Earnhardt like new Z28 Camaro? Or would you take
a Can-Am car and a Carrera GT?
Can-Am car with a 427, which is basically what the LS1 is. Or, I'm pissing off a lot of Chevy people and I love it. Or
mainly me.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I love it. Or the Carrera GT with that. Let us know.
Okay, so would you like to know my backup garage just out of curiosity?
Honestly, yes. I feel like it's going to be better than the garage you just presented.
So I was worried that you were going to pick... Honestly, I thought you could pick either of those cars because we both like Can-Am and we both desperately desire to own a Carrera GT. So honestly, I was like, oh no, this...
I could pass.
Really?
If somebody offered me a Carrera GT or another $1.5 million Porsche, I would take the other $1.5 million Porsche.
Well, hold up. I feel like this should be a whole nother episode, but I just want...
No, let's dive into it.
Quick answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone's handing you the keys. Okay? Same identical spec. Silver over terracotta. All three cars. Okay? 959 non-sport. CGT 918 Spider.
Not even a question, 959. No hesitation.
Okay, so I think both of us stuck 918 last on that list.
So, yes, but only because of the V10. I think the 918, while the Carrera GT is more timeless, I think the 918 at this point, like, in such a marginal way looks cooler. Like, I think the Carrera GT is more beautiful. But the
Yes.
918 is just like, oh,
Spaceship.
yeah.
Yeah. I
So
remember the first time I saw one, it
the
was
Courier GT comes in a manual, so that's automatically a win.
true. Yeah, so I'd probably go CGT, followed very closely by 959.
You really put the Courier GT ahead of the 959.
I'm a V10 guy. I really like the V10.
959 was like showing King Henry VIII the MacBook. Like,
If I own, I'm gonna print a shirt that says that. I'll talk to Ryan immediately.
literally, please do. Hashtag- Seriously, the 959 was taking
And maybe it's
technology that mortals never thought could exist, and then multiplying it by like 7 different areas, putting it in one car and saying, here, general population with potentially no driving ability, here is the most technologically advanced car of history at the
I
time.
would absolutely agree that the 959 is
And then the Courier GT,
the
while gorgeous,
biggest
just goes,
shift.
and that's
Yeah.
about all it does.
Yeah, I would agree that the 959 of the 3 is the biggest advancement in technology. It was all-wheel drive, it was twin turbo, it had adaptive suspension, it was
Sequential turbos.
crazy car.
Yeah, JDM fanboys, before you go like, oh my god, well, my Ford Super had sequential turbos and you need to buy a Porsche. This was like 10 years before that, all right? Let's just
way before that.
zip your anime lip, all right?
Also, not in defense of JDM fanboys, but if you're a real JDM fanboy, you'd be arguing for the 3000 GT VR4. Anyway, I probably
that
would pick
was like speaking Dutch to me, but yes.
3000 GT VR4, sequential turbo, V6, all-wheel drive, manual, four-wheel steering.
Sounds
There we
better than the Supra.
It's certainly cooler than a Supra. Anyway, I'd probably
Continue.
I'd pick the CGT probably just because it was the first Porsche that I ever really, really wanted. Like, I always thought that they were cool and stuff. Like, when I saw them, I was like, oh, that's a Porsche, that's cool. But when I started to get into cars and read into cars, I read a book on the Carrera GT, and I was like, this sounds like the greatest thing on the planet.
This is the thing, though, and this isn't to dig against your choice of the Carrera GT, because the Carrera GT is one of the greatest Porsches ever made.
It's a Carrera GT. You have to like it.
But the people that aren't trying to prove something get the 959. Like, don't get me wrong. Congrats to Doug DeMuro on his Carrera GT as his dream car.
Absolutely. Congrats.
But if he wasn't a car influencer, and he didn't have a bunch of people's eyeballs on him, and trying to be credible in the
Right.
Gen Z car scene and millennial car scene, he would have absolutely gotten a 959. Like,
right. And maybe it's because I've never seen a 959.
that's easily it, because the
That could be it.
see it in person. Granted, it has the 911 roof, right, and then
Right.
the A frame or the A pillar and the C pillar.
Right.
It is impossible to describe how much exponentially wider those cars are than a normal 911 until you see it in person. Also, this is your fault, because I've always thought 959s were badass, but I didn't actually understand how fucking sick they were.
Yeah.
You sent me that piece by whoever it was driving the prototype that was coming up for auction that was the dark gray.
Henry Catchpole. Yeah.
When I was like, okay, like I knew they revolutionized in some areas.
Yeah, 959s are like the coolest cars ever.
Unless you're Ben and they're not, then you want to encourage.
Well, no, here's the thing. If I was going to own one, I'd own a 959. But if someone says, here's the keys, you have an hour, I'm taking a Carrera GT, and the tires will be slicks by the time you get them back.
I got a better question for you.
I hopefully have a better answer for you.
Screw the rest of our episode. I'm enjoying this.
Okay.
Would you rather in any... Well, okay, I'm going to make it intentionally slighted towards the car I hope you pick. Any spec you want.
Okay.
968 Club Sport.
Okay.
Or,
Mm-hmm.
in yellow, 964 RS Club Sport. Or, let's just keep it with my dad's specs, a forest green Mark 1 GT3 Club Sport. So you have transaxle, you have rear engine non-Metzger, rear engine Metzger. But you can have Any kind you want in the
G
club in the 968, but you're limited.
GT3 simply because it's green.
Honestly,
Followed
it's
very
probably
closely by
the.
followed very closely by 964 and then followed not very closely by 968.
I actually agree. So that's
Yeah.
damn. I
Well,
should
there
have
we
been.
go. Okay, but real quick before I forget, my second garage, my race car was also in the Monterey auction,
Okay.
and it was a 1973 BMW 3.0 CSL.
I'm shocked that was not the one you picked.
And well, it's mainly the street car that swayed me towards, the road thing. So that was my race car.
Boo. Boo.
So that you might even call me crazy for this. This would actually make it more expensive than your garage. The street car was a 2003 Enzo.
Never mind. I like the first garage more. I take it back.
Yeah, okay. See, it's one of those things. Okay, for starters, Carrera GT, right? We just had a debate over the Carrera GT, right? And it sold for $1.49 million. And then we both decided Carrera GT over Ferrari Enzo. Now, granted, I've only seen one Enzo before. Granted, I've only seen one CGT before. But for some reason, I was much more impressed by the CGT when I saw it. Yet the Enzo sold for $4 million.
The Enzo is more extreme.
For sure.
Ferrari V12. I don't think it's aged as well as people think it does. And
It has not.
On top of that, the Enzo was a prototype, obviously, to what ended up becoming the LaFerrari. Not actually a prototype. No, I'm not saying it was part of the development. But my point is it laid the groundwork for the F70.
Right.
But I'm just going to say it in simpler terms. The Enzo was trying to be the hypercar when the Carrera GT was trying to be an extreme sports car. So the Carrera GT, what it does well, can be used a lot more accessibly and more often. What the Enzo does well can be used very rarely, but even when you do, you could go buy a Ferrari that's an extreme Ferrari hypercar that does what the Enzo's trying to do, but better and faster. Like, you can go get an F70. Like, this is basically what I'm trying to say. The Enzo was trying to be the extreme ultimate evolution on the track.
Right.
The same price and arguably more attractively. You can go get another Ferrari that does that better. The Carrera GT doesn't have a newer version that does something better because the Carrera GT wasn't trying to be the extreme track toy, because at the end of the day, that's dictated by technology and the advancement. So the Enzo is obsolete, and it's not as enjoyable on the road as the Carrera GT is because it was only focused on the track. And so the Carrera GT you can enjoy, you can shift through the gears, you can enjoy the engine tone, and it's livable as opposed to the Enzo. And so again, because of the design in terms of what they were going for, the Enzo has to look a certain way for some of the aero. Their Carrera GT, while very aerodynamic and effective, that wasn't the end goal. So it ages better because it's not restricted by the time.
Yeah, I mean, they're very different purposes for sure. The Enzo is the more extreme of the two, whereas the Carrera GT is, more of a GT car. Whereas the Enzo was like carbon tub, fixed seats. To be fair, I do think it's kind of cool that it was a dual clutch. I just find that interesting, which for 2003, I imagine was mind-blowing. Bless you. But the problem with the Enzo, like Nick said, is it looks like it's from 2003.
But this is the thing, is your exact point. Like, the thing you like about the Enzo that is of note is the fact it's a dual clutch. But unfortunately, no longer impressive.
Right, I mean,
about a dual clutch. I can go get a 997 turbo that has a better dual clutch than the Enzo. However,
you can probably go get a Golf R that has a better dual clutch than an Enzo.
However, the Carrera GT wasn't trying to be that innovator. And so it's like, okay, manual's a manual. And actually, that's now more desirable than anything else. So
yeah. Also, I've heard that Enzos, like, while they are awesome, and I do think it is a pretty car, and I do think it is awesome, and it is like in the Halo car dream garage for me, I just don't think it does. It doesn't. It's not the same fizz that a Carrera GT is. It's fizzy, but it's a different fizz. You know.
Ben, I have a question for you.
I hopefully have an answer for you.
Would you take an original early 70s Ferrari Dino, the 246?
Ooh, okay.
Or Toyota 2000 GT? Because mine would be the Toyota.
That is a...
Hmm.
Okay, so I personally,
I know
for
what you're going to
starters,
say.
one of my favorite eras of design is 60s sports cars. They just look great. They just do.
Mhm.
They always will look good.
Mhm.
Um,
But which one are you picking?
2000 GT.
Thank God. I
Yeah.
was going to ask 250 GTO. I was like, who am I kidding? A Colombo V12? Forget about it. Like,
Okay.
get out of town. But
um, I'll tell you what though. I did see in the background of a video earlier because someone was on TikTok or Instagram or something because someone was videoing an F40 or something stupid. In the background there was, you know, um, but in the background there was a purple 246, like very dark, almost black purple, and it looked black, and I was like, oh, that's cool, black 246. Most of them are red or yellow or silver, and then like the camera shifted and you could see that it was purple, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh, and that's got to be paint because who in the right like no one wraps cars from the 60s, like it's gonna be paint. So I'm like, oh, that's freaking cool. But probably 2000 GT. It's just such a good shape. It's, I mean, it is the Japanese interpretation of an E-Type, so yeah.
Another one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Any original liveried 3-liter CSL, or, and what I know what you're gonna pick, but I'm hoping it's at least closer than I think it will be. Or
Mm-hmm.
any liveried Porsche 934/5. And when I say slash, I don't mean also 935. I mean the 930.
934.5,
Yeah.
yes. Um,
So pick your favorite livery from each, and which one would you take?
let me. I just want to.
Spoiler: your favorite livery for the 934 will probably be the Brumos, honestly.
Um, da, 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 da.
While we're doing this, ladies and gentlemen, Ben is obviously biased towards BMWs, but specifically the 3-liter CSL, as that is one of his dream cars.
Particularly
However,
the 3.0
I'm
CSL.
posing this question to him because the 934 is also such a unique and rare car that has its own characteristics that might be of interest that I think we know the better car is the 934, but it's a question of what would Ben rather have, because Ben obviously is not interested in good cars, otherwise he'd own a Porsche.
I've been looking at Porsches all day, Nick. All right, I don't want to hear it.
Hey, I'm selling one. You want it?
No, not yours. Um, okay, so for starters, we're gonna look at a Brumos 934.5, as it is the best livery, and then we are going to look at the black M Sport livery, not the white
Yes.
one.
Yes, no, I know.
The black one.
And
3.0 CSL,
By
but
much.
just narrowly, like
Okay.
only in that livery.
Okay.
I think if you get a nine,
If both of them were just painted flat white with no livery, which one are you taking?
I mean probably the 345,
Okay.
just because it's probably a better car.
Probably.
I mean, I don't need
Let's
you to
go
hurt
look
my
at the
feelings.
sports car championships that BMW won compared to Porsche.
All right,
No,
all
that's
right.
the funny thing. In that famous poster, nobody's perfect. It's 9 Porsches and then 1 BMW.
Yes, we're proud of that one. Okay.
I feel like it wasn't launched year in a Mercedes. Well,
Yes. We should do a whole episode like this
Why don't we just make it this one and then we can do the automotive one.
because we can do that.
And let's spend the last 20 minutes talking about the Chris Harris video. But let's just do verses back and forth for this one. It's a celebratory episode anyway. Let's treat ourselves.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna cheat a bit because I can't think of any off the top of my head that you would be interested in.
Oh, very good. Ben's like, which one would you rather have? 917 or 962? The answer is easy to that. It's 917. So
Yeah. By the way, that is the only appropriate answer to that.
Ben,
I'm trying. Yes.
greatest 12-cylinder motor ever made.
Greatest 12-cylinder motor ever made.
For me, it's tied, genuinely tied, purely because of the eargasms it gives me. The 3-liter Colombo Ferrari V12 or the flat 12 from the 917. Those are my two.
I was going to say flat 12 from the 917 or the F140, which is actually the Enzo motor. I think it's got a nice note to it. And it is the sound that made me fall in love with Ferraris. So
Do it. Actually, I take it back. Not the 3-liter, the 5-liter that was in the 512S.
3-liter that was in the 512. Interesting. Okay, interesting.
The prototype at Le Mans, yeah.
Well, I've got a would you rather here that would be interesting to most people, but not to you. Well, I know which one you're going to pick. 1957 Jag X.
Okay.
1957 Jag XKSS or 1956 550A prototype.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but not by much.
Okay, that same XKSS or Ferrari 250 LM.
250 LM, not even a question.
All right.
So I got one for you.
Okay.
289 Cobra, FIA Cobra, an original one.
Slab side car.
Huh?
Slab side car, the non-flared car, the narrow body car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or an original FIA 289 GT350R.
Cobra all day.
Oh, I'm taking the GT350R.
Cobra all day.
No, the original 65 or 66 Mustang, lowered, thrown on torque thrusts, so much hotter.
All right.
Ben, original Fiat 500 or original Mini Cooper?
Mini Cooper.
Nah, I figured, but fuck it.
Yeah.
I was like, they're tiny cars. Why not? Let's throw it out there.
I was actually looking at... Have you been going through my Facebook search history? Is that what this is?
No.
Because I was looking at classic minis today. Because I have a conundrum that I will discuss with Mr. Patty later.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, it's irrelevant to the podcast, so.
Well, you know.
Mr. Patty.
Oh, hit me.
2005 Acura NSX T.
Okay.
The fixed headlight of the early NSX. Any spec you want. Cayman R.
Can I have any spec on the Cayman?
No, black over black.
Actually, Cayman, because the black would be my second choice.
Damn. I was like, no, we'll go with boring spec on the Cayman and then give him freedom on the other one.
Black over black with silver stripes and silver wheels. Oh.
Yeah, that would probably be pretty hot.
And honestly, let's just remind the listeners, NSX is great, but it is fundamentally not as good of a car as the R is. Just throwing it out there. Yeah,
so actually, I've started to... Okay, so you're not subscribed to the intercooler, are you?
No, I can't afford it.
Okay. So the intercooler has been doing a series of posts, of stories called Overrated.
The NSX is overrated.
Well, but it's some controversial things, because it's like NSX, S2000, McLaren F1. Like, it's a lot of, like, big name cars that everyone's like...
Here's the thing, and this is what I love. Because growing up, Porsches are cool. They feel fast, vintage Porsches, whatever, right? And then when people be like, oh, yeah, you know, the Widowmaker Turbo makes all of 270 horsepower. And I'm like, huh? Granted, guys, I'm talking early ones. But I'm like, 270? That's it? But
yeah,
you don't realize how low horsepower everything was. Like, you sit there, same thing with the Ferrari 250 GTO, right? You're like, V12. And right. It's like, yeah, but it's a 3-liter. And I'm like, huh? Like,
yeah, tiny. I'll tell you what, dude.
Like the NSX, when you hear that it's got, what? High 200s, low 300s horsepower?
Yeah, I think if you bought an NSX R, it made like 315 or something.
And the 90s NSXs were mid 200s.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, okay, so you can have a mid 90s NSX, or you could go buy a 964 Turbo. I'm taking the 964 Turbo, not because I'm a Porsche guy. Looks better. Right. Granted, that's an opinion, but looks better. More power, I think. I think the 964 Turbo made 260 or 270 something.
964 Turbo's got to be making more power than an NSX.
Yeah, so. Easily.
And really, the only
come on.
The only reason why the NSX became super popular is Senna. And to be fair, Senna actually didn't say that it was that great.
No. He came back with a bunch of feedback for Honda, like, this is trash in these 4 areas. Go fix it.
Right, they just made one really good video about it, and all we learned from it is that you should drive in loafers.
Ben, I got one for you.
Okay.
A second-hand Singer,
Okay. A normal Singer or a DLS?
regular,
Okay.
or
Okay.
the Roof Yellowbird that was in the Nürburgring video.
Oh, the Yellowbird.
I thought you were going to say Singer. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
No.
In honor of that decision, I'm going to wear my roof hat next episode.
There we go. Okay, so sorry, I was just looking through the Intercool app right now to find all of these. So Steve Sutcliffe has been writing all of these, and if you don't know who Steve Sutcliffe is, he's one of the most reputable automotive journalists of all time. He's been an automotive journalist for like 50 years. Like, the dude has driven everything under the sun. So if anyone can write a series called Overrated, it's him, because he's driven everything. So these are the cars that he did. GR Yaris.
Okay.
718 GT4 RS.
Did I tell you what was at work yesterday?
No, but I saw it on your story.
Yeah, so story time. And I'm sorry I'm interrupting. I walk in
Please.
to work, right? I'm pulling in after the weekend. I come to the soul-crushing realization I have to sell my favorite car. As I pull into work, I see a Cayman rear end. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Why are they driving Dodges here? Then I pull further in, and then I see a big Wang, and I'm like, oh, it's a GT4, very neat. It's like, oh, but it's a GT4, and they added a cage. As I pull around next to it, I see a steering wheel sitting up on the dash, and I'm like, okay. Come to find out, it is a Cayman GT4 Club Sport 718 track car. For those listening, the non-street legal kind, like the kind you see on TV racing.
Yeah, race. It's an actual race car, not what we call a race car.
Legal. And it has a livery of the 963 Penske car wrapped on it. Needless to say, I completely creamed all over my 987.1S. And then I walked into work and I was like, I don't feel like selling my car anymore.
You're like, I don't feel like selling my car, but I do feel like crying.
It was parked right outside my office window. So the entire day when I turned around to see what was going on track, I'm like, oh, there's a Cayman. That's my story time.
I did see that. That was very good. So sorry. 718 GT4 RS.
Yeah.
Focus RS. Kind of understandable. The suspension is shit. McLaren F1, Honda S2000, GT86.
I agree with all of those.
I think that's all he's got right now.
The
Yeah.
only one I don't understand being overrated is the S2K.
So
it's fundamentally a great car.
On paper, yes, and that's what he said. Okay, so it makes total sense, and I've driven an S2000, and everything he said is correct.
Okay.
Basically, what he said is, it's great. Front-engined, revvy, manual, rear-wheel drive. Steering position's kind of shit. The motor's not actually that great. You can't actually see very well. It doesn't drive on the
dash. But the dash.
He actually said he doesn't like the dash. That's the one thing that I didn't agree with. I do like the dash. Nick Patty, would you rather